Listen to him. He knows everything.
Two lovely old dears have been battling the forces of evil since 1976. For 32 years, Joyce and Sybil Burden have been trying to eliminate inheritance tax that they face when one of them dies. They're sisters, and have never married. They've looked after their parents and aunts over the years and have lived together in the same house for 40 years. But as they age, the day comes nearer that one of them will die, and the other will be turfed out of the house to pay more than 50 grand to the taxman, who will spend it on new wallpaper for the offices of the Speaker of the House of Commons, or some Chateau Petrus for the Commons wine cellar, or on comics and sweets, or whatever it is that causes them to get through so much of our cash. They're not gay, and they're not, and as their sisters, they couldn't marry each other even if they were. And now, in the last stages of their lives, they can look forward to the government adding massively to the grief of the surviving sister by staging a raid for their cash at their most vulnerable time. It's the law, and the government's not interested. They can't benefit from the same rights as a married couple, as their relationship is materially different from marriage, they've been told. No, it isn't. They argue, and they bicker, and they don't have sex with each other. It's exactly the same as a marriage. Doesn't make any sense. Like the voting system for London's mayor. You get 3 voting papers and 4 votes. 1 vote for the person you want to win, and 1 for someone you don't want to win. Then you get a vote for an assembly member, then 1 for a party that will choose an assembly member that you didn't vote for, based on how many votes that party got from the votes for the constituency member for the assembly. Clear? Now, it will be raining, so you won't vote anyway, so you can safely ignore all that and rehearse your criticism of those who did vote because of the awful decision they'll have made. It's the majesty of democracy in action. And it's only 12 hours away. 0845 6060 973. The weather is changing, though, apparently. Commuters were hit by torrential rain this morning as major storms hit London. And by the way, the nice travel man will pop up every now and again in the news and say, for some reason, there's long delays on this road and that road. We can't really see what it is, but there must be something. It isn't. It's just rained. That's all. London comes to a grinding halt every time there's a little bit of moisture in the air. Why? No one has any idea, but it does. Meteorologists say the heavy rain is set to continue through the day, with some areas already having had up to 10 millimetres of rain in 2 hours. That's that much. Itsy-bitsy, tiny 10 millimetres.
We're looking at 10 inches.
That would stop London, but 10 millimetres, you wouldn't think it would, but apparently it's enough.
What if it's 10 millimetres all across the ground?
Yeah.
So then, if you gathered it all up in one big container, that'd be a lot of rain.
How much exactly in cubic centimetres?
I don't know particularly, but...
Well, have a guess.
100.
Unbelievable. There is an area of very low pressure over London, which is causing some very heavy but short-lived rainstorms. A Met Officer forecaster said that it's going to be a very wet day in the capital. They can get it right when they're looking back in time. However, there is good news as well. Britain is set for a warm bank holiday weekend. It's a bank holiday weekend coming up. It's going to be warm, with temperatures in the southeast expected to reach 21 Celsius on Saturday and Monday. That's 70 degrees-ish, isn't it? More or less. 69, something like that. Double it and add 32. Go on, try that one.
Yeah, that would be in the 70s.
Yeah. There's a chance of rain on Sunday, but otherwise it's going to be a very good weekend. It comes after record temperatures last weekend, when central London was the second hottest place in the country on Saturday. Hey, we're number 2. Temperatures reached 21.9 Celsius, and that 0.9 is very important. I'm glad that they put that down. As thousands flocked to the capital's parks and open spaces. Did they? Did anyone? Was there any flocking? He's shaking his head.
There was no flocking.
However, the weather for the remainder of this week is set to be cool and unsettled, prompting fears that the turnout in the mayoral... I can't wait till I never have to say that word again. Mayoral election could be affected, with voters unwilling to face the elements. Isn't that pathetic? What do you think that the turnout tomorrow is going to be? I'll say no more than 50%. as dispiriting as that might seem. I think it'll be in the 40s. Isn't that terrible? We disgust me.
I think, if you want to make a comparison, about 10 million people, admittedly from the whole of the UK...
Hang on a minute, I know what you're going to say. For Popeye or some nonsense like that.
Well, I don't think it was nonsense. It was for a magazine Sexiest Women poll.
Oh. Yeah, who won?
Megan Fox. And before you do the what sound, I thought you were going to do... Oh, you haven't got who sound, have you?
Who? No, I don't. Who's Megan Fox?
She was in Transformers.
Transformers? Well, I rest my face. Only 13-year-old boys went to see that movie. And you, Rog. You're 14 now. Well done. You made it. Everyone's thrilled. What did you get? Oh, I got an Xbox 360 and a skateboard.
I'm not allowed to take it out there because of the ASBO.
Yeah, quite right too. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah. Figures released today also show that April was a sunnier than average month. What? With 171 hours of sunshine, well above the average month's 159 hours. Does anybody remember that April was a particularly sunny month? No. I didn't think so. Only 2/3 of the expected rain fell on the southeast. I thought that it was rainy continuously, but apparently a 66.66 recurring percent of what we would ordinarily expect. The hot spell comes as the country faces a wet and warm summer this year, according to the Met's Office long-range forecast, which we should comfortably ignore, because they can't predict what it's going to be like today. If I ask them right now what the weather's like, they'd be like, I don't know. Well, there's a chance that it might be. Just look out the window. Temperatures are likely to be warmer than average for Britain over this summer, and rainfall near or above average for the 3 months of the summer. So it's going to be just like summer, you mean? He said that it was a very low probability of exceptional rainfall on the scale of last year. The Met Office described the forecast as a typical British summer. Heads of forecasting said, seasonal forecasting is a difficult thing to do, and this places some limitations on our forecasts. But, he said, our predictions for last autumn, winter and spring have all given accurate advice, giving more confidence in our latest summer forecast. I don't believe a word of that. Their forecasts for the last 3 seasons were accurate. If only we could... see, it's perfectly easy for them to say that, because no one is going to write down what they say and then come back 6 months later and check. I could give you a forecast. In fact, I could state right now that my forecast of last year at this time is completely accurate. If you go and check, you'll find that I was 100% right in every respect. Prove me wrong. You can't do it. Genius.
Why don't you give us a prediction for this summer then? Or what you think is going to be in 3 months, and we'll write it down, and then we'll come back to you.
This summer will mostly be warmer than the preceding season, and lighter later. I think you'll find that that is completely accurate when we wind back the tape in 4 months' time and check. Warmer, there'll be some rain, and it'll be windy occasionally. Overcast on some days, but no more than usual. There you are, you see? Beat that. I could be a weather forecast. I'm wasted here. It's 7:43. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. The M25's all open.
Fabulous.
Hey, we have a How Low auction running at the moment. It ends 5:30, the 2nd of May. That's this coming Friday. Blimey, it's almost May already. It's one of these things that that old geezer in the roll neck thing, that this old bloke insists on wearing turtlenecks, pulled out of a manila envelope on stage to gasps all round. Do you remember when he did that? Steve Jobs. What's his name? Steve Jobs. Yeah, funny name. Very sensible man. It's an Apple MacBook Air laptop. It's the one of these super thin things. It's really quite fantastic. It's got the lot. It's got an 80GB memory. How they squeeze that into there, no one has any idea. And everything you'd expect in a laptop, apart from a DVD drive, which I think you have to stick up it. Because, honestly, there's no room in there. That they have room for a keyboard is amazing enough. It's the most stylish laptop in the world. Costs well over £1,000, but it could be yours for a matter of pennies. It's a reverse auction. The lowest unique bid wins. That's the lowest bid in pence. What no one else makes. The game closes 5:30 this coming Friday. You can vote now, or not vote exactly, but you can bid now. You can text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If you were to bid, I don't know, £1.38. Then you would text LBC 138 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines closed 5:30 on Friday. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Good luck. It's 0845 6060 973. Our first call, Bracknell. Jeffrey.
Yeah, oh, really? Your first call, I didn't realise that. Oh, yes, yes, I am. Yes, two little old ladies, one aged about sort of 90, but probably about, I shouldn't be nasty, but not that far away from departing from this mortal coil, and a dear little sister, devoted family people, been together hundreds of years, almost. They go pleading their case... It
must seem like that, yes.
To the European Court of Human Rights, which is now the highest court, I believe, my judicial knowledge is particularly good, in our great new European Union that we're also happy to be in, so happy that we're not allowed to vote on the European Constitution stroke Lisboa Treaty.
Yes, we're so happy we could die.
We're elated. Have you seen the thousands of people that get on the streets waving the European Union flag? I mean, it's unbelievable, the enthusiasm that pervades our populace for this great new political creation.
The amount of white van men that I've seen sticking the European flag off their window, I could count them on the fingers of one finger.
Yeah, of course, if it was the St. George flag, they would be pulled across by the boys in blue and say, "Excuse me, sir, do you realise that's a dangerous occurrence, you waving that Chinese-made plastic nylon flag outside?"
I do remember that, yeah. Well, last time we had a chance of getting knocked out in the quarter-finals of a major football championship, people were being... I don't know whether they were arrested, but they were certainly being cautioned for flying the flag, because it was a danger to, I don't know, pigeons.
It's probably distracting. It's probably they came up with because you can come up with any kind of intellectualised excuse to do whatever you want to nowadays. That's what I've decided. So they probably decided it was too distracting to other drivers and could possibly cause a road traffic accident. Do you not realise this, sir? And I'm not going to charge you this. I'm not going to give you the conditional £80 fee for breaking the law, which helps government coppers. I'm just going to just give you the usual telling off, sir. And as long as you remove it, I shall not imprison you tonight.
Well, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, it does seem reasonable, except when they decided that Britishness is something that we can celebrate, and then Gordon Brown says it's okay.
Oh, no, blimey, you talk about swerving, you change topics more than I do.
I know, well, I've gone on a bit, but anyway, back to the taxation. The point is, we have to give £16 billion a year to the EU for the privilege of being a member of this great, fantastic club. I think it's gone up to £18 billion because our great ex-leader, Tony Blair, went into ardent discussions with Jacques Chirac for about 2 days. Jacques Chirac persuaded him to give back the extra £2 billion rebate.
Anyway, what's this got to do with those two little sisters?
Because the connection is they went to the European Court of Human Rights.
Yes.
Okay, which is the highest, if I understand it.
They've been fighting this for
30 years.
Yeah, over 30 years.
30 years. And the European Court of Human Rights, 15-2, because they're all highly knowledgeable judges from Belgium, Austria, and Transylvania, and Piccadilly land or something, all decided these two little old ladies were a threat to the European Union financial budget and said no, because we've got to give them £16 billion a year for nothing more than continuing to belong to the club. And, as I said, the £2 billion rebate that our great previous leader...
Oh, God, here we go again. But that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. It
has.
Well, not really. They were not knocked back by the European courts. They were knocked back by every court before they got there too.
Yeah, yes, and as you say, if they'd had a same-sex relationship for about 2 years, they perhaps would have been okay, wouldn't they? Yeah,
there seems to be something seriously wrong here. I mean, the whole idea of inheritance tax seems to be wrong as well. I mean, presumably it was brought in order to catch out people like, people that no one likes. You know,
rich people?
Yeah, exactly. passing on.
In this country, and I think I've never been to America. Perhaps you've been to America, but I think in America they celebrate success, don't they?
Yeah, which is why they're so good at it. Yes.
Yeah. Whereas in this country we punish success. People who are obviously successful, wealthy, are people who've done something wrong. Therefore, it's very, very just and correct to punish them with as much taxation as possible.
Well, presumably that's why they brought this law in the first place. But it's not really punishing rich people at all, because of course they have the ways, the means to get around any taxation law that you put in their path. They can just pay someone to swerve it. It's poor old dears like this that are getting clobbered by the what's it called?
Punitive taxation system in this country. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Or the extra punitive taxation system. You want to emphasise
inheritance tax. That's what I was searching.
Yeah. So that people who've worked hard all their lives, built up a little nest egg because they've been prudent, sensible in their expenditure, and not gone and wasted it a weekend on ridiculous things like drug parties and alcohol-fueled binges. They're the people who've actually built up nest egg, established themselves, and these, once again, they're the wicked, naughty people.
Right. Not the Duke of Westminster. It's because presumably the law was brought in to stop him from passing on his thousands of millions of pounds, for which he acquired by not doing anything, really. He just got born that rich. Passing on that wealth without the rest of us seeing a little bit of it, which, to distribute it evenly amongst us. Of course, people like that, they won't be passing on anything at all in tax. That's why all of these giant accountancy firms in the city are still earning so much money, is because they're busy swerving around these tax rules that catch the rest of us. Yeah, it's really quite sad, this story. And you'd think that somebody at some point would say, "Oh, all right, go on then. We won't turf you out of your house when one of you dies." Anyway,
what? Can I say another thing?
Oh, as long as you don't start ranting at me.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm not.
Go on, Ed.
But the Duke of Westminster, I read in the newspaper the other day, so it must be true, left the Labour Party, no, the Conservative Party, what a faux pas that was, left the Conservative Party so many years back, because they extended the idea of the right to buy, which people had on their council houses.
Yeah, that's right.
To private renters.
Yeah, what a nice guy.
He didn't like it, because if his tenants could get together as a collective and say, we've been living in your property for the last N number of years, and now we have the right to buy it. And that's why he left the Tory party, because he thought, well, that's not a very good idea of supporting private wealth creation, is it?
Yes.
And he got upset with them. So, I mean, the strange point I'm trying to make there is that the Conservative Party actually sometimes comes out with quite socially progressive ideas, which disturb the older members of the Conservative Party to their very core.
Good. Thanks a lot, Geoffrey.
Okay, bye.
0845 6060 973. Yeah, he did do that. I read about that in the Sunday Times Rich list. Haven't actually gone through that because it's just so annoying. Isn't it, Raj? You read that list and you think, I could have done that.
I just wanted to see where I was in the list.
Oh, yeah. Do you actually know anyone in that list? Have you ever met anyone in that list?
Yes, I have, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you have any sleazy tales that you can tell us?
No, because I only met them briefly.
Oh, you could make some up. Well, just go ahead and broadcast them on the air, and no one will mind. We could start topping each other with the tales that we make up about rich, famous people. Go ahead, you first. So, who have you met then?
I met Theo Paphitis.
Who's that?
From Dragon's Den.
Oh, right. What, just now, you mean? Yeah, I saw you seeing him out. Well, Richard Branson's certainly on there, and I met him. I collared him for a half an hour of drunken... I may have started shouting at him at some point. I've got no idea. I was steaming. But then it was his fault, because he was paying for it. People are just awestruck. Oh, my God, the boss is here. But I started asking him all sorts of questions. Why, like that. Why are you still doing it? I wish I'd paid attention to the answer. I think I was too busy listening to myself, trying to keep myself together, actually. Remain upright. Let's have Essex. Come on, pop him up. Stop typing. Let's go. Live show. Adrian.
Yes.
Yes, Adrian.
I was just listening to a conversation you were having about inheritance tax.
Yes.
And I just wanted to very briefly pass on my own experience, which I'm actually going through at the moment.
Go on, then.
And it's very simply that, unfortunately, my in-laws died 3.5 years ago. It took us about 18 months to sort out probate, and at the time, we paid inheritance tax on what we were told was the value of the property. We had it valued by 3 independent valuers who said, we believe it's worth between 250 and 275,000. We paid tax on that.
Right.
That was never an issue. We've had a letter a year later from the tax office to say that they believe the property was undervalued and they wish to come and revalue it based on other properties in the area that they believe are worth more and have been sold for more.
Right.
When I said that with respect you're not comparing like for like because the properties that they sold may have been a lot nicer, whatever, they basically said, oh yes, but because you have a large garden to the property, there is a good opportunity for that property to be developed and the developer will be prepared to pay more for it.
I thought that they were trying to avoid people developing on their gardens. I thought that was government policy.
But I can tell you, and I swear that this is true, they are going to use a system called hope value. And I have discussed it with the valuer, and she said, we hope that a developer will pay you more, and therefore we're going to value your property to include hope value.
Right.
And that means that if they increase the value by 100,000, we will have to pay another £40,000 in tax, purely because they hope it's worth more than we said it is. And that is the system they use.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
Absolutely. They are going to tax us on hope value.
Right.
And apparently it's legal. I can't find it written anywhere. I can't find any leaflets. They can't provide anything. But they tell me it is a recognised system for valuing a property that has potential to be developed.
Adrian, I want you to take all of the money that you have and set fire to it. Will you do that for me?
It seems very reasonable.
Thanks
Have
very
a
much.
good evening.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, nice people to do business with. I can't wait. I can't wait to die so that I don't have to do any business with them anymore. 0845 6060 973. It's 97.3 LBC.
Sometimes getting things right... Well, let's get back to it.
Here's a call in the Docklands. Hello, Jessica.
Hello, Nick.
Jessica.
I've got an allotment and I absolutely love it.
You got an allotment?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before.
In the Docklands?
No, not in the Docklands, in Sheffield, where I live.
Oh, right.
And it's a fantastic thing. I just caught the tail end of what you were saying. What are they saying about allotments today?
They're saying... Oh, he's just taken it off the screen.
They're probably saying that they're becoming very popular because people are growing their own vegetables more.
They can change your life.
They can change your life.
This is what Nick is going to be talking about on the breakfast show tomorrow. But it doesn't say in which way that it can change your life. Presumably for the better.
Okay, I didn't realise it was a promo for Nick Ferrari. I thought you were talking about it.
I can talk about it if you want, Jessica.
Well, I do love talking about my allotment. I've had it about 2 years, and this year we're growing squash and peppers, and chilies, and garlic, and French beans, and green beans, and squash, and aubergine, and...
2 squashes?
Pardon?
2 squashes?
Well, we're doing 2 different kinds of squash.
Oh, right. I thought you were repeating yourself.
Squash. And we're doing all sorts of kind of things, tomatoes, vegetables. I won't have to buy one single year-old potato or carrot in the supermarket, or one bag of salad that's wet and disgusting, because I'll just be picking and eating my own.
Bags of salad? How on earth are they getting away with that?
Well, I think because people are trying to eat healthily, and the only kind of thing they can do is buy a mixed salad if they want to have rocket. You see, I mean, I'm going to grow rocket and pick rocket and eat rocket all within half an hour.
But that's mad. I mean, it's the same as those convenience foods, like his ready mashed potato. All you have to do is put it in a microwave. It simply costs 10 times as much as an actual potato.
And then they put them in those bags, and they've been frozen. Well, I don't know if they've been frozen, but they've got some sort of chemicals on them, I'm sure.
What, the
bags of salad?
Of salad? Oh, yeah, they absolutely do. Isn't it chlorine?
I don't know, it might be... I don't know what it is.
In case it wants to go swimming.
Yeah, but those kind of things are very popular, but what people don't realise is if you don't have to have an allotment, obviously I have, but even if you've just got a balcony...
Well, get you in your fancy allotment.
I know. If you've just got a balcony, you can buy... sort of seeds, lettuce seeds, regrowing every 2 weeks if you pick them, you know, baby spinach. And
Does any of it taste any good, though?
And it doesn't take much effort.
Does any of it actually taste of anything?
Oh, it tastes gorgeous. I mean, the difference between digging up a potato and eating it, and within sort of 2 hours, and buying one from the supermarket, you will taste the difference. And all the vegetables taste great, and that makes all the rest of the food taste even better.
Well, I can remember...
You just cut out the supermarket.
Yeah, I can remember that my granny and granddad in Wales, they used to have an allotment out the back. It were gun when I were a lad. It was fields for as far as the eye could see. Now, of course, it's guess what? That's right, a car park. But before that, it was the back of the houses, and then an enormous field of various allotments, and then a church in the background that dinged its bell on the hour. How romantic. And we used to go out there and pick peas, which come in pods.
Exactly.
Nobody, not previously had I known that peas actually come in pods.
But actually, I mean, I do believe you about your grandparents, but a lot of younger people are using allotments now. I mean, in London it's hard to get one, but if you do get hold of one, they do change your life. I absolutely believe that. They make you fitter, they make you like food that is healthy for you, so you feel healthier, so, you know, it's a win-win situation. But if you can't get an allotment, just, you know, have sort of, something on your balcony or even on your windowsill, but don't go and buy a bag of lettuce for £1.29.
Yeah, that seems crazy to me. Bags of lettuce.
Exactly.
Pre-washed and cut for your convenience, as though those two things are impossible.
I think as they're becoming more popular, like you say, they're becoming car parks and blocks of flats, but, or something to do with the Olympics. But I think there's an allotment site in London that's just getting completely destroyed, so they can build, I don't know, something for bicycles. And those people, they're saying, like, oh, we'll give them somewhere else to go. But you don't understand what they perhaps mean about it changing your life a little bit for those older people is they put sort of 20 years into those allotments.
Yeah, that's right. It's very calming. It's like having a giant brown pet.
Yeah, and they're just going to get them sort of, you know, steamrolled over. But, you know, I mean, that aside, an allotment is a lovely thing to have. And I think anyone that says they're silly are just jealous.
Yeah. I'd love to have an allotment. I'd love to have a really, really big allotment. Say, fields and fields, and you could plant all sorts of things in it, and have people to come and slice the goods and package them and put them in a, supermarket, so you could go and buy them without getting your hands dirty. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
The very best thing to do is, I mean, our allotment is quite big. We've got a shed on there. We've got a barbecue there. You pick the food straight off the bushes, wherever you've been growing it from.
Very unhygienic.
And you eat it straight away.
Awful.
And taste the difference.
Yeah, it is. Okay, thanks very much, Jessica.
Hi,
that was a little peek at country life. Did you notice that? I didn't mean to say that, but it just came out life. Which reminds me, I've got a little joke for you later. Oh, I bet you can't wait, eh? Here is Forest Hill. Hello, Jill.
Hello.
Jill.
Oh, my goodness. WTF. That gentleman that was, talking about the inheritance tax and the, what is it, the Hope tax?
Yeah, what is that about?
WTF, I mean, really, is that a government thing, or is it councils? Or
I've never heard of such a thing, but it can't be council because it's it's inheritance tax, which is the central government, isn't it?
Yeah, but they've all gone insane, and the councils are insane, and, you know, so it wouldn't surprise me if this insane idea came from the councils and then went to government.
No, I've never heard of such a thing. So when they take your money away from you after the person that you've spent the whole of your life living with, after as they're still freshly dead, not yet in the ground, the taxman arrives on the door and wants you to sell the house that you've been living in for the past 50 years so you can give him a big cheque for what exactly?
Exactly, but also what's absolutely even more insane, or adding insanity on top of insanity, if there is such a thing, is that they want to tax you extra if you've got a bigger garden or something, because some developer might want to develop on it. I mean, if that's the logic they're putting behind it, then they may as well, you know, or the next step will be, if we let them get away with this, are you listening, London? Don't let them.
We will.
Well, then the next step, logically, would be, we can see that, you know, you're maybe in line for promotion, so we hope.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely right.
We hope you'll be in the top tax bracket,
Or-
so we'll start to tax you that now.
Yeah, or
Because
they
we
could
hope
say,
you will
well,
get
you
it.
know, if the
So,
dead
imagine.
person had worked a little harder in their lives, then they would have been worth more. So, technically, you owe us more money for
but
the
where's
amount
hope
that you
in
could
that?
have earned.
No, I don't see the hope in that one, Nick. I do see them hoping that we'll work so hard that we'll get up to the higher tax bracket so they can tax us. So the poor £5 an hour person will be taxed at the £40,000 rate because they hope that he or she will progress in their job.
But what an amazing concept. They come around and say, well, your house is worth whatever it is. And then they go away and say, well, actually, you know what? If it achieved its full potential, it could be worth so much more. Well, where does that potential actually end? I mean, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Calm down, Jill. Calm down.
Calm down.
Where's the potential actually end? It doesn't end anywhere. It could be... Well, I mean, look at the Docklands, for instance. If you'd had a place there 20 years ago and you'd sold it to pay death duties, well, from a house where Canary Wharf is right now, you might have got 20 grand, if that. It was worth nothing at all. So is hope at some point in the future there'll be a gleaming tower block here and it will be worth millions and millions of pounds?
Yeah, but the key word there is if and hope and but, and English law is any law based on ifs and buts and hopes.
Yeah.
I mean, those people at Canary Wharf who sold their properties, I'm sure that they're thinking if only I hadn't sold it when I did, because I could have got more money.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can't base law for people on ifs and buts. We can't let them, excuse my language a little bit here,
No, don't say it, Jill.
No, I'm not the F word or anything like that, but, well, all right, take advantage of our bottoms.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't say it. I've got to go. Thanks a lot, Jill. People sort of get really hyperventilating and crazy when you start talking about this stuff, don't they? Because people feel as though we are being done by the government. We don't feel anymore as though they're helping us. And it's not just this government, it's all of them. They're not working with us anymore. We're working for them. There seems to have been a subtle... well, that's actually not subtle at all. There seems to have been a sea change, because we used to vote for people in order to do our bidding, pretty much, by proxy. But now we seem to be at war, or they've declared war on us, more accurately. And we're just shuffling along, minding our own business, mass and grumble, that sort of thing. Meanwhile, we're being... it seems like we're under attack, doesn't it? Every day it seems like we're under attack. You can't pick up the paper without being shocked by one thing or another. Did you see the mess that the people who carry your car away when you have broken the law? Did you see the trouble that they got in trying to lift a Mercedes off the road? The pictures are in the Standard today. I might get into that in a minute, because it's going to take a while. That sort of thing. And there's other examples too, like the petrol tax windfall and the cost of the Olympics, and on and on and on it goes. But we have to pause now. It's 8:14. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks, Nick.
Correct. 0845 6060 973. I'd love to have an allotment. Wouldn't that be great? Ooh, digging about in the undergrowth. Yeah, and the sense of achievement that you get by digging up your own taters, that'd be marvellous. You're looking at me like I've lost my mind.
I grew sunflowers in my garden when I was a kid once.
Sunflowers? Oh, well, yeah, would you roll them up and smoke them, did you? Here is Spittlefields. Hello, Len.
Hi.
Len.
Yeah, I want to talk politics. I love talking politics.
Oh, God, here we go.
Here we go.
Yes, please do continue.
Right. When a Labour MP crosses the floor and joins the Conservative Party, or vice versa,
yeah,
or a Lib Dem MP crosses the floor and joins one of the other two,
right,
it's in all the media, it makes news all over the country. But when a Conservative MP crosses the floor and becomes the first UK MP in the country, in the House of Commons, not a peep from anybody.
Right. Who was that then?
Mr. Bob Spinks, Labour, or rather ex-Conservative MP for Canvey Island and Benfleet in Essex.
Oh, the famous Bob Spence.
Yeah, he crossed the floor and became the first UKIP rep in the House of Commons.
Right.
And I haven't seen it anywhere.
No, well, it's because he's so well known. It's just assumed that everyone knows.
No, nobody knows.
Oh, right.
They're not told. Anything that UKIP does is a no-go area, unfortunately.
Is it?
Yeah, and simply because we are the fastest-growing party in the country. We're getting more members every day, disillusioned Conservatives and all that. And because of what the EU is costing our country.
Right, how much?
Over £600 per family per year.
I asked that because I didn't think he'd be able to come up with an answer. I'm sorry, Len, but this close to the you-know-what, we can't talk about any of that. Here is Thurrock. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Nick.
Greg.
How are you?
Great, mate.
Good. Yeah, this guy that phoned up earlier about the house and the Hope tax.
Yeah.
Now, did he say that he'd sold, or the family had sold the house?
I don't know. Raj was listening carefully. Apparently not.
So it's still not been sold?
I think he did.
Well, we don't think that he did actually sell the house. No.
Right. So they...
Because if he had sold it, then that would have been truly shocking, yes.
Yeah, so he's paid inheritance tax on the property.
Yeah.
But hasn't sold it. And see, I don't know if he's intended to keep it now. So he can just go for a market value, can't he?
Well, apparently they did that, though, didn't they? They came and had a peek and said, it's worth this much, you owe us. I mean, the part that they would take a look at his house and say, right, you owe us. For what do you owe him? That's the part that I don't get. But then they said, if we just take that as read, for why, what purpose, etc. and so on, no idea. But anyway, they said that you owe us this amount of money, and then they went away and they had a little think about it, and they thought, oh gosh, you know what, we could really do with a new car for the chief executive, or whatever they do spend their money on.
Right.
And they said, let's go and have another look.
Well, and basically they're just saying, well, we think it's worth more.
Yes.
Or they're saying that should someone come and say, well, I won't just buy this as a house, but I'll buy it to develop it.
Well, exactly right, yeah. Not that the house is worth more, but if they squeezed every last drop by irritating all of their neighbours and putting another house at the back of their garden, which I thought the government was trying to stop doing because it's leading to problems with infrastructure. It's leading to problems with drainage because, of course, everybody's not only selling their gardens off to put more concrete on, but they're concreting over the tiny little garden at the front so they can stick their car on it because they can't find a space to park. So the water isn't going where it used to, and this is leading to subsidence because the earth beneath it used to get wetted and now it isn't. And so it's all drying up, and there's subsidence all over London now. And, of course, it's staying on the surface, which means, excuse me, bizarrely, the ground is drier, but there's more floods.
Yeah, and that's got what to do with the tax that we were talking about?
It's government... I thought that it was government policy
yes.
not to allow people, or to discourage people from building on gardens.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that the logic behind their hope... policy seems a bit ski-whiff because my reply to that would be, well, look, I'll tell you what, we'll sell it for the market value regardless of the garden, because someone might want to buy it with the garden and enjoy the fact. But if at any time in the future someone does buy it to develop it, they should be paying, because if they pay a market value and then develop it, they will be paying tax on the profit that they're making on the sale.
Well, they certainly will, yeah, that's
so
right.
Effectively, they're asking this guy to pay tax on someone else's business acumen.
Which they will also have to pay tax on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just can't see that would stand up. I think they just think that he's trying to sell it under a particular level, and he's trying to pull a fast one, and they're just trying to weed him out.
Well, no, the way I understood what he said was that that they came around and valued it.
And then revalued it afterwards.
Yeah, and had a little think about it and thought, well, you know what, if somebody buys it and then chops the garden in half and puts another house on it, then it would be worth more. Well, yeah, quite right. But if you'd dug in the back garden and you found gold, it would be worth more.
Yeah, all this and that. I think he should just dig his heels in and say, well, take me to court. You know,
Well, you see, the problem with doing that is that they will take him to court because it's neither here nor there to them. It's not their money that will be spent by taking him to court. It's our money. So their financial pit for legal costs is bottomless. That's the problem with going up against officialdom, is because while you will be spending your money on your legal fees, they're spending your money as well.
Yeah, but you see, I still come back to the fact that what they're saying is that he should be paying more tax on the back of someone else's business development.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems, it's apart from anything, it seems like it's not fair. Where's fair in any of this?
Well, the thing is that what people can always do is sell it to someone that they know with an arrangement. Say, look, I'll sell you this house. In other words, the land on the house, and if you want to buy it to develop it, then I want a cut of the profit afterwards.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah,
but then that's business the world over.
Right.
That's and if someone did that in a business, strictly not ignoring inheritance tax and so on, the government would pat them on the head and say, well done, that's pushing the country forward and we're making more profits and this, that and the other. But when a private individual finds himself in a situation like that, he's hammered into the ground. Yeah,
and it does seem a bit silly to use the word fair, but because you sound like a 12-year-old when you do it. But it isn't fair. There seems to be a lack of fair around. It seems to have like fairness in society in the way that we're treated by our betters, our masters. Seems to have been ditched for whatever they can screw out of us.
Yeah. I mean, the fairness of the logic. I experienced it a slightly different way once when I was. I can't remember what happened, but for a brief period I was signing on, and I was getting something like £50 a week, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And previous to that, I had a business. And I was putting in that my living expenses were, £100 a week. And the tax people came after me and said, no, we don't believe that. We believe that you should have been spending a lot more money than that to live. You couldn't possibly live on £100 a week. I said, well, look, you get together with the DSS, you come up with a figure, whichever you agree on, I'll go on it.
Right.
And if you think I need to live on £500 a week, well, then DSS needs to pay me £500. You can't have it both ways.
Yes. Well, they can. Of course they can.
Oh, of course they can. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Cheers. Yeah. Does any of this make any sense to anybody so far? At all? Hands up. Anybody it makes any sense to? Oh, no one. 0845 6060 973. How about John? Hey, John.
Hi, Nick. How you going, mate? All
Good,
right?
thanks. Yes, very well.
Nick, just a quick comment about what you've been talking about, this whole inheritance tax. I stand corrected on the exact figure, but I believe that inheritance tax wasn't applicable under £500,000.
Something like that, yeah. It's a little bit more than that now. It's 312,000.
Well, yeah, the thing is, though, Nick, as well, I mean, once you've got a kind of evaluation report and it's signed by whichever company you've had it done by, that's it. If you've done the transaction for the property and monies have exchanged and that's it, it's all over and done with, they can't do anything.
Yeah, but I don't think... I wasn't making notes at the time, but I don't think they actually sold the house. I think that
yeah, that I understood, yeah. But I was just saying, so the transaction, that's the end of it, I think, Nick. I mean, once they've actually sold the thing and monies have exchanged, I do believe that is it.
Yeah, but as I said, that they haven't actually sold it, though.
No, but I'm just saying if that happened,
Right.
afterwards. But
yeah,
I think you're safe up until then. But no, I don't think there is any inheritance tax for that amount, for 50 or 275,000, what he was saying.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right. Well, perhaps then that happened when that was over the... because didn't it used to be 250,000, something like that?
I think it was, yeah.
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 So presumably before that it was even less. So I don't know when it happened, but I'm perfectly willing to stand by the story, even though I don't know what I'm talking about.
But another quick point, Nick, you've got to get yourself an allotment, mate. I've got a very big garden which we grow tons and tons of vegetables with. Well, maybe that's a slight exaggeration. But we've got 5 chickens down the end and all, which we get our eggs from, and it's absolutely glorious.
Chickens, eh?
We got them from a rescue place where you get them in the back of these growers' magazines, and they were battery hens. When you get them, they haven't got a feather on them, but they're as bright as anything, and you bring them on, and they're lovely.
Right.
Kids absolutely love them. My grandchildren come over and feed them every day.
Yeah, so yummy. Are you going to strangle them yourself?
No, I used to be a butcher, but I think I'm going to draw the line on these ones. They seem to have got a massive reprieve. I think I'd end up on the block if I'd done it.
Right, okay. Okay, thanks very much, John.
Cheers, Nick. Bye.
Yeah, pets don't taste nice because you're too riven with guilt while you're eating them. But I bet his neighbours aren't too pleased. Hey, meet the chickens. What? Well, at least he hasn't got a cockerel. Because cockerels, oh, what a nightmare. Worse than dogs. My furry alarm clock would, well, that would be bliss compared to having a cockerel living next door. Why they're so pleased with themselves that early in the morning, I have no idea. I mean, do other chickens run to have a hot poultry interface with them at 5 in the morning? They're getting up too. And they don't look their best that early either. Haven't plucked their feathers or, you know, whatever it is that chickens do first thing to make themselves look so lovely. But you need never want for an egg. Even though you can't eat them anymore because they will kill you. And that is the official position of LBC. It's 0845 6060 973. It's 97.3 LBC. 9:30, 8:30. So going on this ticket thing that I was talking about yesterday, I had a ticket to ride. Everybody sing. I can't remember how it goes. How does it go? Ticket to ride. Roger's got that lined up for right now. Here we go. Hey! No? I got this email that says, I must say you have been pretty lucky to have only paid the £1.60 additional charge for your ticket. You remember yesterday when I was banging on about how I'd been accosted by some oik in a peaked cap who demanded to know where I lived, why I'd got a ticket for the previous station when I got out of the following station, and I did it because I missed the previous train and the train that I got on didn't stop at the previous station. But regardless of all that, the two fares were exactly the same. So the only difference was that I had the different station printed on the ticket. I had paid the same amount. But that wasn't good enough for him. He says, oh, don't work like that. As though they'd actually thought about it. As though they'd sort of sit down and let's see how this should actually work in practice. And I said, well, I'll pay the difference, knowing, I didn't actually know at the time. I thought it'll be a matter of 10 pence, 20p difference. And his response was, well, you can go back down on the platform and catch the train back to the other station. Well, I mean, it was late at night. Who knows if there was even going to be another train? But that wasn't, he didn't care about that because he was following the rules. Anyway, I think I'm going to write about it. It seems incredibly petty to write and complain about a £3.20 surcharge, and Roger's looking at me like I'm a moron.
I would complain about it.
I think I'm going to actually write I'm going to spend more time and money complaining than it actually cost me in time and money originally.
I bet they send you vouchers for a free ride somewhere.
But I think it's worth spending the rest of my life obsessed by it in order to hopefully get them get back at them. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my existence on this planet to shaming them for charging me an extra £1.60 per ticket. Definitely worth it, don't you think? And after that, I'm going to go and stalk David Walliams. Because there's an opening there, I think. I must say, says Cassia, that you've been pretty lucky to have only paid the £1.60 additional charge for your ticket. I was once coming back home from Gatwick from a well-delayed, cheap airlines flight, as it happens. It was nearing midnight. I was exhausted after the trip already. Similar to your case, I had a ticket to my station, but the next train to this one was in half an hour only. So I took one which was not stopping at mine, but at the next one, in the same travel card zone, for the same price of ticket. And to my surprise, at the exit, I was greeted by one of those power-inflicted idiots who, supported by a reinforcement of 4 or 5 of his colleagues, made me pay a penalty of £20 for having travelled beyond my station printed on the ticket, even if the ticket to this one would be exactly the same price as the one I paid as they were in the same travel zone. You with me? No logical arguments worked, no explanations, no options given as you were. No options given as you were. Oh, as I was. Not the fact that it was nearing midnight. I was completely exhausted and took this train simply to get home and to go to sleep, instead of waiting another half an hour for a train which would have taken me to a station printed on the ticket. If I were not a 30-year-old woman, but some nasty teenager or some rough bloke, I don't know how this would have finished. Not surprised that some incidents happen sometimes at night. So good luck with your claim for getting your money back. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it. I've also written to Lufthansa. I wrote a stern letter. And I told them what the problem was. I didn't, go off on one. You bleepers. I didn't start the letter like that. I was reasonable-ish. Told them what the problem was. Should I re-explain that too? He can't stand it. Poor Raj, he's got to sit there and listen to this whole thing. Other people can just dip in and out when they like. No wonder you sit in there with your iPod. What are you listening to now?
The Rolling Stones.
Oh, they're great. The Rolling Stones. Fantastic.
Rock and roll!
I went to see the Shine a Light thing, which I mentioned, but I didn't actually talk about. Shine a Light in IMAX.
Groovy.
Very, very close up to the Rolling Stones. I haven't seen cracks like Keith Richards' face has since I was last at the Grand Canyon. Good grief. That man is a walking advertisement for not taking drugs. Amy Winehouse, sweetheart, you're going to look like that if you carry on. Well, she's not going to live that long, is she? Let's face it. But I don't know about that film. So many great reviews when it came out, and I thought the people were just caught up in the giant PR buzz of it, like it's the Rolling Stones, it's Martin Scorsese, it must be fantastic. And the hard truth of the matter is, the Rolling Stones songs, particularly performed live, all sound the same. Mick Jagger can't really sing. Tremendous frontman, great energy. He's a lesson in how to front a band. He really is. Can't really sing at all. And so all the songs sound the same. And they did choose some odd songs as well. Like for most of the openings of songs, you think, oh, God, this one. So it was kind of odd. I can't say I'd recommend it. But the IMAX is cool. Wow.
Yowza.
Here is Southall. Imran.
Hi.
Hey, Imran.
How are you?
Good.
And just a quick thing about those two sisters about the inheritance tax.
Yeah.
I work for I'm a tax planner.
You're a what?
A tax planner.
Oh, yeah.
So we do inheritance tax planning. And a lot of people don't know that there are ways to avoid paying inheritance tax, which are legal. It's not like it's an illegal thing.
Right.
So there are loopholes in the system where, you don't need to get a solicitor involved. If you go to independent will writing and tax planning companies, they can draw up.
What, an
wills.
independent financial advisor? I hate those people.
No, not them. Like, for example, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a tax planner.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I work. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the company I work for. But what we do is we write people's wills.
Yeah.
And also.
But I've heard it's a fantastic company, and everyone should go there.
Exactly. And also, it's just that what people don't understand is, obviously, in the case of these two sisters, their house was worth, I think it was 800 or 900,000.
It looks like a nice house. Well, it looks like it's a fixer-upper. That's what it looks like. It looks like it looks exactly what it is, where two old ladies have been living for 40 years. Yeah. I think you spend a bit of money on that, and it could be worth a fortune.
No, exactly. But I mean, what the probate office do is they take into account how much it's worth now.
Yeah.
And then,
mind you, isn't it in Leicester or somewhere horrible like that?
What the
where do they live?
House?
Oh, Wiltshire. Oh, that's lovely. Yes, go on.
So what the probate office do is they value the house at what it's worth now, and then the nil rate band currently is 300,000. So anything above 300,000 is taxed at 40%. But there are ways where, by doing proper tax planning, you can avoid paying inheritance tax.
Great, okay, so what are the ways around it?
There's one where you can do a discretionary trust, where it actually splits up the value of your estate into two, and then one part gets put into, technically assigned to a discretionary trust.
That sounds complicated.
No, it's quite complicated, but I mean, if you get...
You've got another one?
The discretionary
Something
trust.
easier than that.
Well, I think discretionary trust is the most popular one, and that's actually, good for couples, married couples.
How about lying? Can you lie?
No, unfortunately, you can't lie. You can try.
Right.
And also, I don't think a lot of people know this, but if you have children who are under the age of 18, and if anything should happen to both the parents, the children automatically go to social services and not to the next of kin. So if you don't have a will written regarding who the guardianship of the children, who the guardians of the children are, it's quite, dangerous.
Right. Social services? Yeah, that sounds terrible. Okay, well, that's a good warning. Thanks
So, people don't need to go to solicitors, because solicitors charge a lot of money.
Yeah, so do financial advisors.
Well...
Yes?
They do, but, I'm not a financial advisor.
Right, yeah,
we're
so you keep saying, I'm not...
Yeah.
and it sounds like you're protesting too much.
No. But basically, because, what we do, we have a set, set prices.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you, Imran, your company is fantastic. Easily the best in the market.
Yeah, I think everyone should come to us.
Unfortunately, we can't say which it is. Isn't that a shame?
No, you can't.
Right. Thanks very much, mate. 0845. And I cut him off just before, because he'd think, why don't I just blurt it out? I would have done. 0845 6060 973. What a fantastic job I did there. I danced on the edge there, Raj, and then pulled myself back just at the last moment. Isn't that fantastic?
Very close.
Aren't you proud of me? You and me, boy, together. What a team. I'll do all the work, and you take all the credit, eh?
How it usually works.
A commuter who couldn't find a seat on her train but managed to squeeze into a tiny luggage space by a lavatory was fined because she was too close to first class. I think I mentioned this yesterday but didn't get into it because I was too busy moaning and whining about my travails with the train company. Nicola Myhill's hour-long journey ended with a threat of arrest and a £69 fine because she'd strayed out of a second-class apartment. Now the 27-year-old magazine graphic designer is waiting to hear of her appeal against what she described as the appalling way I was treated. Never mind about that, Nicola. I was treated appallingly. She caught the 6:30 p.m. service from Liverpool Street Station on her way home to... There's no such place. Fingering Hoe? There's no such place. This is a made-up story. What is this, April the 1st? Raj, I want you to look up Fingering Hoe. I mean it. F-I-N-G... Are you writing this down? You're not writing this down. F-I-N-G-R-I-N-G-H-O-E. Fingering Hoe. Can you believe that? That's awful. It's near Colchester. Oh, well, say no more. Notorious they are. She says, I pay just over £4,000 a year for a season ticket. Where to, dear? Oh, yeah. Fingering Hoe. She says, I usually pay over £4,000 a year for a season ticket. £4,000 a year?
What?
She says, I usually end up sitting outside a toilet on the dirty floor because everywhere is full up. Now that would really annoy you, wouldn't it? People are standing in every available space between carriages. It's not possible to stand in the aisle because it would have caused huge disruption. Together with another young couple, I stepped into the space at the end of the first-class carriage. Not the first-class carriage itself, but the space at the end of it. A guard saw us, and we explained that there was nowhere else to go, which he accepted. But 10 minutes later, a pair of ticket inspectors came through, and having seen our tickets, told us we were going to be fined on the spot. I felt intimidated by their aggressive attitude. I've been, done by the ticket inspectors, and they are aggressive. And it was, once again, I'm swerving away from her problems to talk about me again. I'm sorry if this sounds selfish, darling, but it's me. I was yanked off a tube train once because my Oyster card had clocked in but not out at some previous point in my life. Now, are you telling me that those machines are so unerringly accurate that they will, as thousands of people go through and beat their little cards, make the right calculation every single time? It will never make an error. I don't believe it. It would be, in fact, the only computer system in the world that is infallible. So, and I know that I never, didn't do that, because how can you get out? There are probably still some stations that don't have those barriers, but I don't know of one. So I would have had to have leapt over the barrier, which is essentially what they were accusing me of. But if you go in and then don't click out, you get charged £6, the maximum fare. Now, I only do zones 1 and 2, so I would have been charged at least £4 more, and I got a telling off. They should have been thanking me. And they took my my avocado card off me, and they wrote on the back of it, and it's still got writing on the back of it, criminal, something like that. Well, like he drew a hangman's noose and said, "This is what awaits you." Something of that order. It was awful. But you can't. They're like these people at the airport as well. You can't say boo to them, because they can ruin the rest of your day. They have been given that power. There's too many people of limited intellect who have given too much power over our lives. Am I right? 8:46. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much. Well, looking okie-dokie.
Let me tell you about the How Low auction. It's for a fantastic Apple MacBook Air laptop. That's one of these super thin things. There can't be a more stylish and fashionable gadget on Earth right now. It's very much demanded. It's in the reverse auction that we have at the minute. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. This thing would cost, well, it's well into 4 figures, isn't it? But it could be yours for literally 1 penny if you bid that, and no one else does. The game closes 5:30 this Friday. That's 5:30 in the evening. To bid now, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of, well, let's say 58p, it would be LBC 58 to 88821. Bids will cost you £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines closed 5:30 Friday evening. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Essex, hello, Mark.
How are we tonight, okay?
Very good, thanks.
I just want to share my story, just supporting really what we're saying about travelling on the tubes and trains.
Yeah.
Got on the train at Liverpool Street Station with my Oyster card, scanned the barrier, allowed me to board the train, received a phone call from my wife just saying that plans had changed and for me to meet her and the children shopping. So I actually got off the train one station before I was due to, or I normally would.
Yeah.
To which got to the exit, scanned my Oyster card, didn't allow me through the barriers, was automatically almost jumped by about 8 underground / overground staff, pointing at an A4 yellow poster telling me that I have to pay £20 fine. So I was like, I'm not prepared to pay £20. Look, I've got £60 on my Oyster card.
Right.
I've got sufficient funds to travel.
Yes.
And they were like, well, at a certain station that you pass, there's a massive A1 poster that says you cannot continue any further than this point. And I was like, yeah, but the train didn't stop at that station. It went past it at 100 miles an hour.
Yes.
How was I seen that? So the long and the short of it was that I refused to pay the £20 fine.
Right,
so
good for you.
They called the transport police.
A reasonable and intelligent body of people, I bet.
So I said, can I see the manager of this branch? I have sufficient funds to pay for my journey. I think a £20 fine is unfair. I'm prepared to pay whatever the cost is from Liverpool Street to here, but I'm not prepared to pay a £20 fine. I'm not a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
To which they said it's unacceptable. They don't want to cooperate. The people barely speak the English tongue, and there's nobody there prepared to make a decision. I said, look, I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I manage people for a living, I wouldn't treat them like this. Why are you treating me like that?
I think that you hit on a couple of good points there. They're not prepared to discuss it with you because they don't, for 2 reasons. First of all, they don't seem to be mentally equipped to enter into a discussion, and second, they don't appear to have the ability to make a decision. They are just like robots, following the rules. But I think the third point, which coats it all, like icing sugar, is that they actually appear to gain pleasure out of wielding their authority and ruining other people's days. That's like the cherry on their cake, to continue
Well, I mean, the icing sugars
pastry
to
analogy.
come. The icing sugars to come, because first of all, after waiting 55 minutes, the transport police arrived, to which they said...
You were waiting 55 minutes while they basically arrested you before the police got there. Right.
And whilst I was there, people would jump in the barrier. It was like it was like a cattle market. Whether you were old, pregnant, fit or able, they were hailing people in.
Right.
They had a little table set up to write out the fines. And it's just a money-making laundering service. When the police arrived after 55 minutes, I kept saying to them, so you're stopping me from going about my business. They said, there's the gentleman that's assaulted us.
What?
They accused me of assaulting them. To which I then said, listen, I want to see the CCTV evidence that said I've assaulted anybody. Which they then promptly dropped the charges. The long and the short of it was that I've taken all the police details down. 5 months ago, when this all happened, I went on to the Transport for London website and I appealed against my £20 fine because I've refused to pay it.
Yeah.
I still haven't heard anything.
Right, but you haven't paid anything yet.
I haven't paid anything, but I haven't heard anything. And then to top that up as well, my mother received a letter to her home address last week from Transport for London saying that my eldest brother was caught at a train station not having valid funds to travel, and my brother hasn't lived in the country for 11 years.
Well, it sounds like you come from a criminal family, Mark.
Of course, very well educated, 3 brothers that are doing awfully well for each other, and we're top criminals in the underworld business.
Yeah, it's a shock to me and everyone listening to this that you're still allowed to walk amongst us. All right, well, thanks a lot, Mark, and you keep fighting the fight for us. All right.
All the best.
Cheers. That's something like that happened to me. I was going to Barbican Station. I used to live in North London, and for some reason I can't remember right now, my gym was in the Barbican. How crazy is that? I used to commute from Hampstead to the Barbican just to go to the gym. I must have been out of my mind. But I did that one Sunday, and I'd forgotten, or I think I'd dropped my ticket, something like that. And so I got to the gate, and I couldn't find my ticket. And they said, right, that'll be £20. Ha-ha, they said, like, mentally rubbing their little hands together. And, no, it was, I think, right, I'd got a weekly pass, or a monthly pass, and it had just expired. Something of that order. So there's evidence that I buy a weekly pass every week, because they keep these records. All they have to do is punch my name into their pewter, and they'll see that I am an excellent customer. But no, that wasn't good enough. They were going to fine me 20 quid. So I turned around, and I said, right, OK, well, you can follow me if you want, but I'm going to go back home. Because at the time, Hampstead didn't have those gates. And I'm admitting to a crime on the air. Well, you can find me if you like. It just seems, and I'll go back to the word fair again, none of this seems to be fair, as though the forces of authority have declared war on us. It's kind of like that, doesn't it feel like that? That everywhere you turn, there's somebody who's desperate for you to slip up in some way, just so they can ruin your life and gain a little bit of pleasure into theirs. It does make me sound like I am 5 when I start saying it's not fair. It's not fair. I'm going to slam a door any moment now. Stomp into my room and turn up the music. But it isn't. None of this seems to be fair. It all seems to be designed to ruin our lives by increment. It's like water torture, isn't it? It's like Chinese water torture. Drip, drip, drip. Everything we do, and you can't do that, and you can't do this. Aha! Caught you out! Like that. Every time you leave your house, it's like that. And shortly there'll be cameras in your house. in your bedroom to rate you on performance. And anything that doesn't come up to Olympic standard will come with a fine. 97.3 LBC.
Jeremy loves
listening, dear. You can talk to me.
So the Standard had a picture of a Mercedes. The guys on these, what do they call them? These people who take your car away for bad parking.
Clampers?
Yeah, all right, clampers. But they don't just clamp you. They hoist your car away and they take it to the catacombs of the car parks in Hyde Park Corner, if you've parked in the West End of town. And then you've got the long walk of death down that corridor that never ends. That is the worst walk. I hope I never have to do that walk again. It lasts for about a mile down a corridor that you think, well, if for some ne'er-do-well is walking in the opposite direction, I could be dead down here forever and they'll never find me. It's the moment that every tow-away worker and vehicle owner dreads. Right in the middle of being hoisted onto a truck, something goes wrong with a delicate operation. The front end of the car plunges and is left dangling inches above the ground. And this is no old banger. It's a £55,000 Mercedes S-Class. The drama took place in London Road in Morden. Contractors from Transport for London were called to the scene by a parking attendant who spotted an illegally parked car during rush hour. The tow-away team in day-glow vests arrived minutes later and began what appeared to be a routine operation before it went horribly wrong. The silver Mercedes was feet above the ground when the vehicle overbalanced and nose-dived towards the road. As it hung in mid-air and frantic workers tried to find out what had gone wrong, a crowd gathered to watch the spectacle. And traffic piled up behind the obstruction. Now, remember, keep in your mind that they're removing this obstruction in order to make traffic flow freely. Right? And, of course, in days of old, when a glimpse of stocking was thought of as something shocking, you'd be able to get away with this because no one would have a camera with them. Now you can't get away with anything, ever, anywhere, because everyone's got a camera with them. It's just only people over the age of 30 don't know how to work it. I've got a camera and a video and an internet browser and, the stuff my phone does. I've got no idea how to work it at all. Often, I'm trying to answer the phone and I take a picture of myself. Peter Sutton, who was passing by, said they didn't have a clue what to do. It was just hanging there, and it is almost vertical, pointing directly at the ground, just inches off the tarmac. This is a top person. This is not any old rubbish. Top person's car, this is, Raj. Because of the crazy angle of the car, they couldn't put it back on the tow truck without damaging it. But they couldn't put it on the road either in case it crashed down. And, of course, they would do this. They would have just, oh, the hell with it, what do we care if it gets broken? They'll never catch, he's not here, so he can't do anything about it. And, but because people are taking pictures of everything that everybody does now, it is forcing people like this to do the right thing. If taking your car away for a minor infringement of the rules is doing the right thing. Half an hour later, a second tow truck arrived, sparking heated debate between the two crews. By now there was chaos on the roads. These guys are meant to prevent congestion, but they were blocking off an entire lane. There was gridlock and lots of annoyed drivers. No one could believe it. I would doubt that. I would think that everyone could believe it. So in order to ease the flow of traffic, they blocked the traffic completely because that's the rules. After all that, they didn't even take it away. They just put it back where it was parked in the first place. There was no visible damage, but who knows what could have happened under the bonnet. It's likely that the oil and the petrol would have run into the air filters. Cars aren't meant to be dangled like that. TfL spokesman said, regretfully, operator error caused the vehicle load to overbalance. The car was returned undamaged to its owner at the scene, and the operator concerned has undergone retraining. Retraining. Oh, it's like 5 minutes, is it? Don't do that again. Retraining. But the car was returned to the very spot in which they were called in the first place to take it away because it was causing an obstruction. So actually none of that makes any sense. If it was causing an obstruction, then they would have taken it away, because unless the engine was made of lead, it could conceivably have been picked up properly and put on there, but they were so, I don't know, scared of scratching it while people were there with their little mobile phones. Got you. Click, click. That they just, they've done enough and left the scene with their heads in their hands. On a related topic, guess how much Alistair Darling is earning a day extra thanks to soaring fuel prices?
£10 million.
No! You couldn't be more wrong. 13 million. Do you see how far out you were? Alistair Darling is pocketing an extra £13 million a day thanks to soaring oil prices. He's set to beat his fuel tax budget forecast by £4.7 billion this year. Now remember, this is the forecast on which he's based all of his statistics, his facts and figures. The amount that he needs to take from us was based on how much he thought that he was going to get in fuel tax charges. Now he's just been gifted, as though he's just won the lottery, £4.7 billion. More than he thought he was going to get from taxation. Experts reckon the windfall would allow him to cut duty by 9p a litre. But he plans a 2p rise in October and another one in April. The figures emerged as BP revealed a 48% rise in profits to £3.31 billion so far this year. Shells were 12% up, as unleaded hit... Now, we pay in litres, and every now and again, because you forget how much gallons were. How much was a gallon of petrol when it was, just before it changed into litres? Which I believe was a method of increasing prices without it seeming as though that's what happened. Or rather, it gave the opportunity to cloak an increase in prices, because whenever you change from one system to the decimal system, and I can remember when that came in, when we lost our old threepenny bit. Of course, you don't remember about that, do you, Rose?
No.
Threepenny bit, my favourite coin ever, with the possible exception of the sixpence.
I like halfpennies.
Halfpennies, yes. You used to, halfpennies and indeed the old penny were so heavy, you used to actually have to carry them around in a wheelbarrow. Not a lot of people remember that. Divers used to put them in their pockets so that they could remain on the floor of the ocean. But at the time, just before decimalisation, which was in, I don't know, I'll guess, 1972, people were saying it's going to be an excuse to put up prices because we won't be able to make the calculations between one and the next. Indeed, how anybody could have worked with pounds, shillings and pence, when, if memory serves, there used to be 32.5 pence old money in a shilling and 84 shillings in a pound. I think that's right. But now, of course, it's much easier. 11 pence is 10 pence piece, and 54 10 pence pieces equals a guinea. I want you to write that down, Rose. That's actually true. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Oil prices. The figures emerged as BP, I'd read that bit. In February, the Chancellor budgeted to raise £10 billion from fuel taxes this year, based on an average oil price of £42 a barrel. But as the current record £59 a barrel, the Treasury would make an extra £4.7 billion, 13 million a day. So that's not change, is it? £4.7 billion in a year. You could do significant amounts with that. You could build approximately 4 temporary tents that no one wants to go to and stick them in the Docklands, for instance. Or you could scrap the 2p rise. Accountants Grant Thornton said that it would cost only $550 million to scrap the 2p rise. So he'd still have about $4 billion left that he didn't realise he was going to get. He said that the Treasury has already received $400 million more than forecast. More than 60 hauliers protested in Whitehall at the cost of diesel the other day. The AA accused filling stations of artificially hiking prices, the Treasury played down the scale of the oil windfall. Played down the scale of the oil windfall. What does that mean? What, they lied about it, you mean? How do you play something down? Is that a nice way of saying they lied about it, or what? Because to play something down, well, what's that saying? Oh, no, we didn't get that much. So they lied about it. Well, explain another way that played it down. What could that possibly mean? They said, oh, no, it's not that much. Well, that's lying, isn't it? If we had to assume that the figures are correct. £4.7 billion. What could we do with that? What could we do with that? I mean, it's so much money that it becomes meaningless.
I suppose I could add another wing to my palace.
Hey, what's his name is going to be building, what is it, a house that costs £150 million? I think he's going to knock two places together. They're fixer-uppers. Yeah, Roman Abramovich. 150 million quid. Going to be strutting about in his marble palace. Still unhappy. 0845 6060 973. LBC, time 9:15. Travel news with Amanda Redmond.
Well, looking at big delays at the moment. Fabulous.
Armed bandits facing trial for holding hostages aboard a French yacht insisted they followed a polite pirating guide during their occupation. The 6 Somali raiders, aged 25 to 40, boarded the 290-foot yacht 2 weeks ago as it headed from the Seychelles to the Suez Canal. They claimed they had a good conduct manual to ensure their 30 prisoners felt relaxed and cheerful during their week-long captivity. Pirates. That must be an absolute nightmare. I mean, when you're on a boat out in the sea, there is no law anymore. Like you're at Glastonbury.
Surely the law is of whoever's waters you're in.
Yeah, but you are out there on the prow of your ship, on the poop deck. Imagine it. And there's not another boat to be seen for as far as the eye can see. There is no law. I've seen the movie Dead Calm, and I know that to be true. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Oh, it is fantastic. You ever seen Dead Calm?
No.
Oh, you want to rent it out straight away. It's stated, this manual, the Good Conduct Pirate Manual, stated that pirates must not sexually assault women hostages or shout loudly at prisoners, and they must let them use the lavatory when they ask. The gunmen even brought goats on board and invited their captives to an on-board barbecue. Ah, well, that's not very polite to the goat, is it? Maybe they brought meat on, and the goat was just for, like, milk, for coffee. Would you like some milk in your coffee? Yeah, squeeze this. 1 squirt or 2. When one pirate's gun accidentally went off and narrowly missed the boat's doctor, the guilty man was sent ashore for carelessness. Pirates, I'm talking about. The raiders fled after the owners paid a £1 million ransom, but were later seized in northern Somalia and flown to Paris, where they faced prosecution for piracy. A Paris judicial source said, being nice while committing a crime is no excuse.
Be polite!
But it's a start. Do you know why pirates are so feared on the high seas?
Why?
Because they are. What a fantastic joke. It's 0845 6060 973. I've got a policeman's stripper's truncheon, which is also... oh, look at you, bouncing up down excited now. What? You don't want me to talk about tax anymore? I tell you what, let's talk about... do you want to talk about the Olympics? You know it's only 100 days away. Can you even believe that?
I can't. I haven't even got my Beijing T-shirt yet.
Made in England, yeah. Well, the bill is rising, and they basically haven't got... It's almost as though they've shrugged their shoulders and raised their palms to the skies, and they've got no idea how much it's going to cost, or I think they've just given up now. Olympics chiefs were today accused of spending money like water. NP said that they showed a risible approach to cost control by allowing the price of the 2012 aquatics. Here, have you looked up that place yet in Colchester? I want to know that such a place exists, just to put my mind at rest.
I'll Google it now.
Yeah. There's two of you in there. You're not doing anything at all. You want me to spell it for you?
Go on then.
Well, we'll have to get it right, won't we? It's near Colchester. This nice lady on the train, I didn't even get to the end of this story, but it doesn't end well. She had a season ticket from Liverpool Street to FINGRINGHOE. Go ahead. Google that. I can't imagine what will come up. I'm breathless with anticipation. No, I don't want a map of it. Get me control. Right. God, blimey. Isn't the internet slow? Fingringhoe is a village and civil parish located 5 miles southeast of Colchester. The centre of the village is classified as a conservation area, featuring a traditional British pond and a red telephone box. How about that? Fingringhoe Wick is locally known for its salt marshes. And that's all there is to it. In fact, that is all there is to it. Yeah, I have no further information. But it exists, so that's one thing. Anyway, the Commons Culture, Media and Sport Committee. Commons Culture, Media and Sport. Culture, Media and Sport. There's at least two very distinct things there. Can they be experts in all of those things? Or indeed any of them? The Commons Culture, Media and Sport Committee. Is this the same people that sent each other off on a residential course to learn how to tie their shoelaces? It's the same people, isn't it? How to be smart. Not intelligently smart, but, how to dress well and how to shop for clothes. It's the same people, isn't it? The Commons Culture, Media and Sport Committee also raised serious concerns about the lack of detailed proposals for the Games' legacy. It comes after the Public Accounts Committee accused Olympic chiefs of misleading the public over the Games budget, which has tripled to £9.3 billion. So they were £6 billion out. £6 billion out. And this is just now. It will be 12, and then it will be 20. I absolutely promise you. By the time it's all done, write it down, £20 million. I'll say it first. In today's report, MPs pinpointed the rising cost of venues within the Olympic Park as a key factor. They noted that the cost of the main stadium and the velodrome had risen, but identified the aquatic centre as the chief culprit. No one will swim there when it's done. I promise you, it will be too expensive to run, and like the velodrome and the main stadium, no one will be able to afford to move into it because the amount that will come in from the public using it won't be enough to justify the cost of running it commercially, so they will padlock it and have security guards patrol it at our expense. And come to find out, it'll cost something like £1 million a month just to keep them all ticking over and collecting dust. Just like it did in Sydney and Barcelona and Athens and everywhere else where they've been blighted by the Olympic Games. Why don't they just put it in one place, and then the whole world knows where it's going to go? And then you don't have to keep building these giant white elephants. It's like a spreading disease, the Olympic Games. It leaves pockmarks all over the planet of huge, of huge financial ruination wherever it goes, and massive venues that no one uses anymore. I mean, seriously, an Olympic swimming pool all the way out there, who's going to use it? Not the people that buy those executive flatlets that they're building, because they won't have the spare time, will they? They'll be busy beavering away at whatever it is that they do.
What they could do is they could have every country that participates in the Olympics, and they could all, relative to their GDP, donate some money build a big super Olympic village somewhere.
Yes. Excellent idea. Let's say Zimbabwe. They noted the cost of the main stadium. I've done that. Originally priced at $73 million. The Aquatics wave-shaped pool complex, designed by Zaha Hadid, is now priced at $303 million. So they said 73, and now it's going to be 303. Well, they say that now. They haven't built it yet. It'll be 500, including the cost of an adjacent bridge. The report said it might be spectacular and eye-catching, but it appears to be over-designed, and it will be an expensive way of providing the facilities for water sports needed during and after the games. They've gone for glamour international architects who will, because this is all public money. I mean, Zaha Hadid wouldn't draw a building for a private company that would go, what is it, 230 million pounds over budget. Started at 73, ended up at 303. No one has a handle on this at all. It's going to be the biggest financial disaster that has probably ever befallen this country, next to a war. The report said it might be spectacular and eye-catching. It appears to be over-designed. It will be an expensive way of providing the facilities for water sports needed during and after the games. The history of the Aquatic Centre shows a risible approach to cost control, and that the games organisers appear to be willing to spend money like water. Well, of course. It's ours. Why wouldn't they? The MP said that there was a risk of significant extra costs for converting venues after the games because they were being designed before a legacy operator or owner had been confirmed. So in other words, they're throwing up these things without a thought about what they're going to do with it afterwards, or who's going to come in and run it. But it's all. But I mean, you can imagine being on the committee, and you think, what should we get? Oh, let's get something exciting. Oh, let's get somebody to build something that looks like it's out of Star Wars. Great. Well, we'll get rub shoulders with international superstar architects. Let's go and have a conference in a 5-star hotel. Woohoo! And then they all troop away, and it's all really exciting, and it's like playing. Well, I don't know. It's like playing with Lego, isn't it? They're sort of just a giant game. Even before the game started, they're having a game. Am I the only person that thinks this is a giant waste of money, and that we shouldn't, and that we actually lost when we won, and that we would have won if Paris had got it instead, and that we had actually lost? And then they'd be punching each other in the face about it, and moaning and whining on French talk radio. Oh, well, of course, like that. French talk radio. Oh, it's fantastic. Can't understand a word they're saying. Of course, neither can they, because it's in French. The MP said there was a significant risk of extra costs for converting venues after the games because they had no idea what they were doing. Essentially, that's what they're saying. The London Development Agency, as owner of the 500-acre Olympic Park in Stratford, is yet to say how it will deliver jobs and affordable housing. Any day now. We're waiting with bated breath. And the bill for that housing is going up as well because of the global credit crisis. Taxpayers, that's us, may have to pay more than the expected towards the cost of the Olympics due to the global credit crisis and the falling house prices, because they're building all these house prices under the expectation of achieving a certain amount of money for them. But now, of course, it's getting more expensive to borrow the money to build them in the first place, so they're going to be more expensive. And nobody's buying any houses now, and who knows what's going to happen then. So it's all a bit like, oh, no, it's going horribly wrong. Just as we predicted. LBC 97.3.
A long time.
This is the quote from Tessa Jowell. She is who's Tessa Jowell these days? The Olympics minister. Oh, right. She conceded that until, quotes, sensitive commercial negotiations were finished, the exact value of the overall government contribution could not be disclosed. In other words, I've got no idea. They've got no clue. But they're charging ahead anyway. Good work. Beckton, Anita.
Yeah.
Hello, Anita. Yes, Anita.
Yeah, hi. There was this talk about traveling, by tube and everything.
Yeah.
So, I just thought I'd mention this thing because, it kind of rang a bell in my head. Something interesting that happened to me a few days ago when I travelled from Liverpool Street Station.
Have you got the radio on?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to turn the radio off, Anita. It will stall you.
All right, is that better now? Okay, so what happened was, it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I was trying to buy a ticket out of London from Liverpool Street Station, okay? And I just had like £20 cash in my wallet.
Yeah.
And the ticket was £71, and I had...
How many?
71.
£71? To where?
I was travelling out of London. I was going to Norwich.
Oh, okay. To Norwich? £71?
Yeah, that apparently that is like the peak rate.
God.
I know. So I tried to use my card, and I was stuck, okay? And I'm like, how come it's not going through? Because I just used my card, and that's not the amount of money you usually carry in your wallet.
No.
So, I called the manager and everything, and they said, by the way, your card is solo. We don't accept solo cards. You have to withdraw the cash from the cash machine and then pay by cash, blah, blah, blah. So I tried to do that, and, well, apparently I think my card got stuck because I'd overused it, at the self-service counter.
Yeah. What are you doing with the phone, Anita?
Nothing, sorry.
It sounds... okay, go on. Is it a normal phone you're using?
Yeah, got a Samsung.
Oh, Samsung. Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Can't hear a word you're saying. Go on.
Okay, anyway, so I couldn't withdraw cash because, apparently the machine probably detected that I was using a stolen card or something, so my card got blocked. Now I had no money and I had to travel.
Right, to Norwich?
Yeah, I had to travel. It was like, by now, it was almost, 7:15 in the morning.
Right.
And I said, oh shit, what do I do? Because I have no money. And these are things that you don't really think about. I mean, who'd have thought to carry maybe £100 in your wallet? WH Smith. I mean, can I name the company?
Oh, I think you just did.
Okay. And they didn't have a telephone directory. Can you believe it?
They didn't have a telephone directory?
No, and I'm like...
Well, why would they?
No, they sell them, right? The one at Liverpool Street Station.
They sell telephone directories?
Yeah, that's what they told me. I asked a member of staff. I said, I need to check a number up.
What, like Yellow Pages?
Yeah.
Do they? I've never heard such a thing. Do people sell do people even use telephone directories anymore?
But that's the thing. What do you do when you're stuck, it's
Yeah.
6:30 in the morning?
Right. So what did you do?
You have to have the kind of presence of mind to think of something, and they couldn't help me. And then this guy told me you have to call up this other number and get the number for the bank. So I did that, and the bank couldn't help me. They said you have to wait till 9 o'clock until one of the branches open.
Right, so you're stuck in Liverpool Street. You, for some bizarre reason, why we have no idea, I'm hesitant to ask, you want to go to Norwich. And you can't get there.
Yeah, I mean, I had to travel for a reason, right? I mean...
Yeah, well, it'd have to... It wouldn't be fun, would it?
Of course. It was a 2-hour journey, and I thought I'd get there by 9, I was like...
Right.
6:30.
Did you actually manage to get there in the end?
Yeah, I did, but the thing is, I just want to know if other people have, had a problem. I'd say, what do you do? Because I'm sure there are other ways of using, your card to pay for it.
Yeah, no,
I realised that you could have bought the ticket online, but there is no place to use the internet. I didn't have a laptop to access, free Wi-Fi.
Ah, well, that was your first mistake. Yeah, Anita, I'll throw it out there and we'll see if anybody had the same experience, all right?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, thanks very much. 0845 6060 973. Norwich. Oh, I think she was, I think the circumstances did you a favour, dear. Norwich? Hey, that used to be where the Quiz of the Week came from. You remember that, don't you? The Quiz of the Week, it's the sale of the century. That is going to be brought back, along with... I'm amazed that nobody's brought back Golden Shot yet. Bernie the Bolt. What a rubbish end to the game that was. Do you remember the Golden Shot?
No.
It was so bizarre. I can't even believe that it happened. Somebody with a crossbow nailed to a television camera would take instructions from a punter over the phone on whether to go left a bit, right a bit, or up a bit to shoot with a bolt a thin piece of wire as thin as a human hair which was across the studio about 20 feet away. Essentially, you've got no chance at all of getting that, because you have no control over, no direct control over the bolt. You're just telling a cameraman to go left a bit or right a bit, and then fire! And then the thing will go ka-chunk. Near, but never through the actual wire. So I can remember only about 1 or 2 times anybody actually won any money off that show. Oh, but when the cash came out, oh, fantastic. Gold coins they were, probably all chocolate. But it'll be back in some form or another as television continues to eat its own entrails in order to come up with ever more ways to fill the giant amount of time that it's got now that there's so many channels. Brentwood. Hello, David.
Yeah, hi, Nick. Just want to raise a few points about the Olympics. I just think, I completely agree with you, it's going to cost about 20 billion come the final bill.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a huge scandal. I hope somebody's going to write the book about this because, first couple of points. One, I don't think we ever expected a winner. I think there was a funny thing going on with the voting. I think they just wrote down this figure of what it was, 2 billion on the back of a fag packet, and, for some reason we won the bill. I don't think they ever expected to get it.
No, I think that's exactly what they did do. They just came up with a figure out of the air and thought, well, that looks good. We'll say that.
Yeah. And the other thing was, Livingston said that he's claiming it was all his idea to get funding for Stratford. But Stratford, I know Stratford fairly well, and it was an area which qualifies for the EC funding anyway for redevelopment. I can't see there was any reason that he needed an Olympic site built there to develop the area. It would have qualified under EC rules for redevelopment. So, that was a big ruse, I think. And the other thing is, why aren't these people responsible? Why can't we make people like Lord Cohen and Tessa Dow responsible for somebody responsible for the figures they give? Otherwise, they just make these figures up and spout complete nonsense. I heard Tessa Dow the other day saying, we hadn't allowed for the security vote, following July 7th. Well, excuse me, I thought following the Munich Olympics, security's always been an issue.
A little bit, yeah. They also said that they didn't think about VAT.
No,
imagine that.
if this was any sort of normal business proposition, you'd have these people up in court within,
I think that's the key right there, and that's the problem really with all of our elected representatives, no matter who they are allied to.
Yeah.
None of them have actually done any work. They've just spent their entire lives climbing the greasy pole to get as far as they can in Westminster. But they've never actually run anything. They've never done anything, these people. So no wonder whenever they get their hands on an unlimited amount of money, they have no idea how to keep things in check.
The Olympics is a politician's dream, isn't it?
Well, absolutely.
The reasons why it's held around the world is because of all the corruption that goes on with Olympic officials or the backhand.
Which is all well documented, yes.
Yeah, and all this five-star hotel accommodation they've got for the officials.
It's a dream come true of a never-ending gravy train of exotic five-star hotels and butler service. Yeah,
exactly. And it's all, and we all pay for it. It couldn't be better, could it? But I much believe I would believe in the Olympic movement if they held it every year, sorry, was it 4 years? But I held it in Greece. I think that was a good games last time. It was the ideal place to hold it. And if they spent the money that they make on it every time by helping, people in poorer countries, then I could believe in
buying fair trade bananas or whatever it is their custom at the time. Yeah, quite right. No, it makes perfect sense to me. Have an Olympic village that never, that is always the venue, and improve it as necessary. But building these white elephants, is the Olympic Village in Sydney, is that being used yet? What about the one in Athens? Is that being used yet? Has anybody managed to gain entrance to the ones in Barcelona? Because all of these things were padlocked afterwards, because nobody could either afford to run them or think of what to do with them.
No, yeah, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, I haven't looked in the figures, but I'm sure you're right that, you know, these places are going to be so expensive to run that there's no way they can make them pay. And,
I mean, wasn't the temporary tent, when they padlocked that, wasn't it costing us something like £1 million a month in security charges? So can you imagine what the Olympic Village is going to cost?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
David, thanks very much. Cheers, mate. 0845 6060 973. I was going to talk about something else on that subject. It looked like you were about to say something as well. Or was it just gas? Swansea. Hello, Trixie.
Hi. Oh, there's a break coming up.
Trixie, there's always a break coming up.
I know there's always a break coming up. No, actually the breaks are all quite different on LBC down here. We have long periods of music, and we have a Welsh travel bulletin, which is interesting. Right.
On LBC?
Yeah.
Do you?
This is the I mean, yes, well, as I said, in Swansea, it's a slightly different service. It's the main programming.
Yeah. But we have opt-out travel news.
Yes, but...
I had no idea. Did you know that, Raj?
I think
Sorry?
the travel
I'm on my
splits to
mobile.
regions.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Can
right.
you hear me now?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Oh,
no,
right.
I just didn't know that. I didn't know we had travel opt-outs or whatever it is that you call it in the business.
So it was nice to hear about what was happening in Swansea.
Yeah.
Bernie, the Bold.
Not much, I bet.
Sorry?
Go on.
Bernie, the Bold, please. Presented by Bob Monkhouse.
Bob Monkhouse, yes.
Yay! It was a brilliant programme, wasn't it?
Bob Monkhouse was absolutely perfect in the role of Games Master, because to be a Games Master, you have to be oleaginous, for a start, have to be a little bit greasy, you also have to be perpetually smiley, and he could do both of those things asleep.
He was brilliant. And because it was black and white TV, and very, maybe not for you, but for me it was, and it was very clunky, wasn't it?
Well, it was terrible. I mean, I did feel, I can remember feeling a bit outraged at the time that the big prize depended on the arbitrary way in which the cameraman, I mean, if the cameraman had the shakes, for instance, if he'd been out and had a little bit too much booze the previous night, then there's no way. I mean, it's just completely down to luck.
No, we wanted to do that, except that we didn't have a telephone. My brothers were really upset because we were quite sure that we would have been able to get that, you know.
Mind you, hanging on the line in those days for the length of time in which it would take Bernie to stick his bolt up there, it would have cost you in telephone fees as much as you'd have won.
Oh dear gosh, yes.
I mean, you forget how much telephones used to cost. Telephones were so expensive that a lot of people, us included, used to have to share the line with the people over the road. When you picked the phone up, if they were on a conversation, then you were suddenly joining in their conversation. You had to wait till they finished. Of course, and you never knew when they'd finished. You just had to keep coming back and picking up the phone to see if they'd stopped talking.
And that was really embarrassing. That was our first telephone, a party line.
A party line. Can you imagine that now?
Yeah. You had to press a little button on the top. But for some reason, I always managed to pick the phone up, and there was somebody talking the other end and said, hello? Hello?
Yeah.
It was really embarrassing. Because I was so enthusiastic. Is your break coming up now? I'm worried about your break. I don't want you to get into trouble. Oh, wait. All right.
No, well, was there anything else?
Yeah, decimalisation.
All right, well, hang on there then. If there is something else, decimalisation, that's a very important and current topic, and it must be dealt with straight away. After this forthcoming break, it's 9:46. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much. We're looking at...
Your call's important to us.
And Clive is right, by the way, just before I go back to Trixie, the people who have dogs smell like dogs. Their houses smell like dogs. People who smoke fags, having a fag, their ceilings and their walls are yellowing. People who own dogs, their kitchen floors are yellowing. Totally different reasons. There's nothing worse than the smell of a wet dog. Am I right, Trixie?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats don't smell like that.
Well, they don't get wet.
Well, they do sometimes, but they don't smell.
Right.
Anyway, Jenny Barnett, by the way, was on during that short break.
Yeah.
Yes, anyway. Yes, decimalisation.
What do you mean Jenny Barnett was on?
When I just turned the sound up on my radio,
Yeah.
and Jenny Barnett was on instead of what you had just then.
Doing what?
She was, there was a different filler in the programme.
Oh, right. Well, just a part of her programme?
Yes, I think it might have been a part of her programme. It sounded like that, or a
Right.
long trail.
Well, I'm going to sound like rubbish after that.
No, you don't. I'm sure. No, you really don't. Anyway, back to decimalisation.
Yes.
I was furious about decimalisation because I had spent years, as many years as you, learning those 12 times tables and the 13 times tables.
Can you imagine? Why on earth did we have that system? It doesn't make any sense at all. We have 10 fingers. 10 tens are easy to multiply.
It's the Romans, you see. So they had their feet, and their feet were divided into 12.
No, they weren't.
Oh, I don't know.
Their feet?
Yeah.
What, you mean their actual feet?
Oh, of course.
On the end of their little legs?
That was their rule of thumb. Their foot was their rule of thumb, if you like.
Well, they didn't have 12 toes, did they?
No, they didn't. They had 10 toes. But I don't care. I don't. Enough of that.
Maybe
anyway,
it's 10 toes and 2 feet is 12.
That's true. Is it? Anyway, right. You're playing with my mind now.
Oh, right, man. Sorry.
I'll start asking you how long your truncheon is if you're not careful.
Well, I have a story about that, which I might be able to fit in.
You want to slip it in now, so I can laugh at it or something?
You might be able to get away with that kind of material in Swansea, Trixie. It's a different audience
that's
down
on
there.
the bill. I was in the background, and we were asked to improvise.
Are you an extra?
Oh no! I was actually one of the group. It was the sort of not. I actually had a small role.
You're an extra.
No, it's more than that. I had a speaking role as well.
Oh, right, okay. Isn't that an extra?
Small speaking role? I don't know.
You've just been, that's the reason why you're in Swansea, because you're an actress and you're in the bill.
No. So that I did that years ago. I'm in Swansea to see my sick mum and aunt.
What was all that about the bill?
Because I had a line in it, show us your truncheon.
Oh, right.
I
I had no idea it was that kind of show.
To one of the policemen. That's all. Don't worry about it. Anyway, back to your story.
Yeah. Which was what?
You were going to talk about your story for a second.
What story?
About the policeman in the truncheon.
Oh, no, I'll do that after I've dealt with you.
Oh, all right, you can deal. Right. I hated it when decimalisation came in, because we'd spent all that time learning these 12 times tables.
Yeah.
And
Once,
you
12 is
remember
12.
how many pence were in
2 12s are 24. 3 12s are 36. 4 12s are 48. And then it gets complicated.
5 12s are 60. 6 12s are 72. Yes. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, and then it gets really hard.
Well, we can do it, yes. There's 7 12s are 80.
Yeah. What are 13 12s? Oh, no, fresh out of time. You fail.
Never mind. But I mean, I learned all of that, and all about, feet and inches and everything in miles, and they suddenly changed it.
Yeah, I think that the old coinage was actually more attractive. We don't have anything like the old threepenny bit, which was, I think it was an octagon.
It was beautiful. Whatever.
It was, yeah. It was like a brass-coloured small coin, about the size of, I don't know, let's say half of a 10b bit.
And I had one of those was part of my pocket money. I had 1 threepenny bit and 1 sixpence.
And see, there you go. And the names of them are attractive as well. Yeah. Now it's a 10 pence piece, and there's nothing attractive about that phrase. It's got 2 P's in it for a start.
Do you remember the word florin?
Florin, yeah, but I'm not that old. But
it was just the old word. It was a crossover. You would have heard it. It's 2 shillings. It's the old-fashioned word for 2
Right,
shillings.
okay. You see, shillings and threepenny bit. There's just something really satisfying about saying threepenny bit. Try it with me now. Huh? Yeah, it was. It was a very thick coin. Not so great carrying it around. Right enough. The coinage used to be heavy and hard on the pocket. Yeah. But in them days, we didn't have any money, so we weren't complaining. Mustn't grumble.
Oh, absolutely. But I tried to buy a 6-penny packet of sweeties for 5 pence. And what I said to the man was, I was only a little girl, I said, "Oh, but look, there's 2 pennies, and the threepenny bit, that's 5 pence, and the threepenny bit itself," thinking that there were actually 3 pennies
right,
inside.
That's the sort of thing that got you a clip around the ear in them days.
No, I got the sweets.
All right.
I was clever.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Emily Wiles even when I was a little girl. Shall I go now?
Okay.
Take care.
Ta-da.
Bye.
0845 6060 973. It seems like it's all happening on the football field. Now, this is one of those matches that you have to be subscribing to Sky to be able to watch. Either that or you just be Raj and you're sitting in there and watching it for free. But it seems as though it's tremendously exciting. Now, last night I tried to get home without knowing what the football score was, and I got in the car, started the engine, and of course LBC was on. And the only words that I heard before I panicked and stabbed at the buttons on the radio were, Manchester United has booked a place to Russia. That was the only words that I heard. At the second I started the engine up, and I guess I saved myself 90 minutes. But it's going to be more than that now. And if you don't want to know what the score is, you're going to have to put your fingers in your ears and hum loudly to yourself. What's going on in there at the moment, Raj?
They're about to play the second half of extra time.
Right.
And Chelsea are now leading 4-2.
Get out. You're kidding me.
They just scored before Drogba just scored.
4-2 they're leading now. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Unless the world's luckiest team come back and pull the victory from the jaws of defeat. 4-2.
But Liverpool have got a half to get it back. I think the away goals rule might play in here. If they can score one, it counts as double, I think.
What's the aggregate?
4-2 is the aggregate, 3-1 on the night.
So 4-2 is the aggregate. Okay, well, they're going to have to score twice. And then they'd win. And then they will go to Moscow. Why is it in Moscow? Why on earth is it in Moscow? Who wants to go there?
And apparently you need a visa to get in now.
Yeah, you need a visa to get in. They'll, as soon as you disembark from the plane, they'll shoot you if they don't like the look of you. And no one can get tickets for it anyway because it's all been sucked up by the, Vlad the Insaner and all his mates. Want to go and have a quick peek at the match before they go and, invade another country, turn the gas off to Poland, that sort of thing. We're reaching the time at which I must do this the story about the policeman's truncheon. Oh, here we go. A male stripper who dresses as a policeman can use a real truncheon in his act, an appeal court in Edinburgh ruled yesterday. Stuart Kennedy, 25, had been charged with, guess what? That's right, carrying an offensive weapon. What have we talked about tonight then, Raj?
We spoke about battling the forces of evil,
yeah.
Sisters Never Married, voting system, the weather, London and rain, Megan Fox.
Can you put a bit of emotion into it?
Sorry. Weather forecasting.
Yeah.
The European flags.
Do it as though you're singing.
My singing voice is off at the moment. European Courts of Human Rights.
Dance for me, producer boy.
Inheritance tax.
Yes.
Rich people.
Oh, yeah.
Developing gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Hope value.
Right.
Allotments.
Yep.
Bags of salad.
I remember.
A peek at country life.
Mm-hmm.
Being done by the government. Crossing the floor. Going against official destination.
Oh, Clive's next. LBC.
We are gathered here today to witness